Okay, let's go.
Damn. Wow. It's like I've never done this before. I always have one thing that I've messed up, right? Let me get that out of my mouth because that is unprofessional. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to A Spooky Mysteries. We are going to delve into a few different stories today. We're going to mix and match here. Well, not mix and match. We got three stories that all flow together that I'm going to break up into three different parts, and I'm going to post everywhere else. I'm going to combine those three into one main story that's going to Spotify. And the last story, or the last part of this today, is going to be over a subject I always try to stay away from, the cartels, like always. But it's going to be for its own separate thing also on YouTube. So it's in for a bumpy ride. I got a lot of reading to do because, like I said, I always write things down, and I wrote it all down, and I'm ready to go. I just got to double check one tiny little thing. Oh my goodness. Will this make noise? If it did, I didn't hear it. There it goes. I should have put it on preview instead of out loud, but y'all hear laughter on the background. I had to click a laugh track, but I didn't put it preview. I did it live, so y'all heard it. Okay, get rid of that. Where did my... Okay, there it goes. Cool. So the first part... Actually, no, everything's good. Okay. I thought I was going to do something. Oh, that's what I wanted to change. Actually, that's kind of fitting, but it's not what we're talking about. The name of this part is If You See Them, It's Too Late. So we're going to take that. There you go. If you see them, it's already too late. I was going to do something bad. We'll leave it at that. My brain is always scattered. So let's begin. Should I do lighting? Oh, one of these days I'm gonna do mood lighting because I do have a new ring light, so I could do that. As you can see right here in the little corner, little Jack Skellington glowing in the dark over there. My little tattoo right here of Jack Skellington face. I decorate it actually. I'll color it in and then draw like a Halloween. Well, it's already Halloween, so I just color it in, or I'll color in the face white, and then I'll put in a Santa Claus hat and then color that in red and white. But yeah, kind of like that. That's a Christmas Jack Skellington. Sorry, distractions. This is always small talk, because we always have the small talk at the beginning, and it's always something random. It's sometimes over the news of the world, especially in the Hispanic community. This is just random small talk today. Oh, I got my area set up. Look at that. That can of Dr. Pepper is unopened, and it's only half a can. That's how it came from Dr. Pepper. So it's on my shelf next to my Edgar Allan Poe book. And don't worry about that mask. That's something else. And I got two candles, one right here, and then a Cucamora right there. Dia de los Muertos and Moana. It's a mix and mash of things I like, but it actually looks somewhat aesthetically pleasing. Yeah, except for maybe the stuff on this side. That's a Snoop Dogg cookbook. Maybe this right here needs to go to make it look cleaner. Yeah, I think that would... Okay. Small talk over. Let's get on with the episode. So, imagine being lured in by... Let's fix that. Clip that because I'm going to erase that. Imagine being lured in by a woman, a beautiful woman, only to find yourself staring at a horrifying horse-like face, or being stalked by a demonic dog with burning red eyes. These aren't just creatures from a nightmare. They're legends woven deep into the stories of Latin America. They are spirits of vengeful omens, of despair, and messengers of death for anyone Yes. For anyone unlucky enough to cross their path, there's no talking your way out of it, and there are no second chances. The moment you see them, your fate is sealed. We're about to explore the terrifying final moments of people who ran into Latin America's most horrifying spirits, beings that signal your doom the second you lay eyes on them. These are more than just campfire stories, they're cultural warnings, and for some, they were the last warning they ever got. Dun dun dun. Put in dramatic music here. The night air is thick and warm as you walk down the. Let me just mark that because I don't like the way that went. See, this is what happens when we do things live. There's a presentation mode. I pay for that. So, okay. Anyways, cut that out too. Mark that to cut. My teleprompter up. I messed up. Back to your corner. Okay, there it goes. Back. The night air is thick and warm as you walk down a lonely dirt road. You've had a few too many drinks, and the path back to town feels longer than usual. Twisting through deep, dark shadows, that's when you hear it. A woman humming softly, mixed with the gentle sound of splashing water. Your curiosity, maybe sharpened by the alcohol, pulls you off the path, down by the river. Lit by the moon, you see her. She's impossibly beautiful, bathing her long, dark hair falling down her back. Bathing with her long, dark hair falling down her back, hiding her face, but just showing enough to completely draw you in. This is La Ciguanaba. Her legend, whispered from Guatemala to El Salvador, tells of a cursed woman. Her name was once Sihuahuet, which means beautiful woman, but she was condemned for being vain and a terrible mother. Her punishment? To look beautiful from a distance, an irresistible trap for wandering men, especially unfaithful ones. You feel an invisible pull and you move closer. You call out, but she doesn't answer. She just keeps bathing, a strange mix of vulnerable and alluring. Every step you take towards her feels like a victory. She rises from the water, her back still to you, and starts walking toward a dark, secluded ravine. You follow, your mind clouded with desire, completely unaware of the danger. You just have to see her face. You crave that. You just have to see her face. When she finally stops and turns, everything freezes. The beautiful face you were imagining isn't there. Instead, you see the long, rotting head of a horse with bulging, blood red eyes that burn with pure hate. Her skin, which looked perfect, so perfect, is now wrinkled and green. Her lips peel back to show yellow horse like teeth, and a sound comes out of her throat. Not a scream, but a cackling laugh that echoes through the ravine, mocking you. This is the last thing you will ever see. Some say the shock of her face is enough to stop a man's heart. Others say she just gives you a little push into the ravine, and your soul is lost forever. Either way, the result is the same. Once you look upon her true face, it's already too late. It's a scary story. Like I said, a lot of stories across Latin America and Hispanic culture all have a, how do I put this, like a caution. They're all cautionary tales. Like there's no story across Latin America that's not just a story. It's always has a meaning behind it. Kind of, this is our version of Aesop's fables, except they're terrifying. A monster's face can shatter your mind, sure, but some things don't need to show you a face to fill. Some things don't need to show you a face to fill you with dread. I wrote that weird, or I paused weird and it messed my brain up. But some things don't need to show you a face to fill you with dread. Sometimes the horror is more primal, a feeling that crawls up your spine, a shadow that stalks you from the corner of your eye. It's a loyal companion that promises only one thing: your doom. We're moving on to the next section. This is a transition if you haven't figured that out. Transition. This one's over El Cadejo. The tavern doors, the tavel, we're gonna mark that because that's a flub. I don't like flubs. Let me get a little sip here. Can you imagine if I get sponsored by Liquid Death? I would lose my mind, especially since I have this right here, Liquid Death artwork. It's across my wall. I'm gonna fill that whole wall up with it. I don't mean to do that. The tavern door swings shut behind you, and you're left alone on the winding country road. The world swaying pleasantly, but as you walk, the silence of the night starts to feel heavy. You get that distinct, unnerving feeling that you're being followed. You glance over your shoulder, but there's nothing there. You pick up the pace, but the feeling only gets stronger. Then you see it, a flicker in your peripheral vision. A large, shaggy dog as big as a cow with goat like hooves and eyes that burn like hot coals. This is El Cadejo Negro, the Black Cadejo. As the story goes, there are two Cadejos. One is white, a good spirit with blue eyes that protects travelers from harm. But the other is pure evil. As it gets closer, you can smell it, a foul mix of sulfur and decay. It doesn't growl or bark, it just stalks you. When you stop, it stops. When you turn, it vanishes into the shadows, only to reappear a moment later, a little bit closer. It's toying with you, letting the dread build until you can't take it anymore. Your drunken courage is gone, replaced by cold, creeping terror. You start to turn, but the cadejo, we're going to mark that because I'm going to clip that. You start to run, but the cadejo easily keeps up. Its very presence is a death omen. They say if you speak to it or even turn your back on it for too long, you'll be driven insane. For those who meet it, the Black Cadejo, the end doesn't always come from a bloody attack. Victims are often found dead from sheer fright, their hearts having just given out. Others are discovered days later, completely mad, their souls stolen by the hypnotic stare of those burning eyes. If someone is brave enough to fight it and actually wins, the creature's body rots away in seconds, leaving nothing but a pitch of dead earth where nothing will ever grow. But that almost never happens. For most, the moment those fiery eyes lock onto you in the dark, your journey is over. I like these stories. Fear can kill you slowly, but some spirits prefer to be more direct. They don't just stalk you from the shadows, they announce their arrival with a sound that freezes your blood, a melody with a terrifying, twisted logic. The next, El Silbón. You're alone, maybe in a house out on the vast plains of Venezuela or Colombia, because it's everywhere, with nothing but the wind for company. Then you hear it, a faint whistle drifting through the air, following the notes of a musical scale: do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do. I'm not singing it because I can't sing. It sounds far away. You might even feel relieved. But when El Silbón, but with but with El Silbón, that's the worst sign of all. Because here's the cruel trick: when his whistle sounds distant, he's right next to you. When it sounds close, he's far away, and you're safe for now. El Silbón, or the Whistler, is the cursed soul of a young man who is doomed to wander the earth forever. The story goes that he was a spoiled brat who killed his own father in a rage, and when the man came back from a hunt empty-handed, killed his father in a rage when the man came back from a hunt empty-handed. When his grandfather found out, he cursed the boy to an eternity of torment, whipping him, covering his wounds in chili and lemon juice, and setting rabid dogs on him, before forcing him to carry his father's bones in a sack for all time. Now he's now he's a tall, skeletal figure who stalks the plains, mainly targeting drunks and womanizers. But he's not picky. Back in your house, you hear the whistle again. This time it's loud and clear, as if it's miles away, and that's when you know he's right on top of you. You might hear the soft, dry rattle of bones as he drops his sack on your doorstep to count them. If you hear him counting, you're safe. But if you don't hear him by dawn, someone in your house is going to die. Your blood runs cold, the door creaks open. The last thing you see is a tall, thin shadow in a wide brimmed hat. And the last thing you hear is that bone chilling whistle, now soft and close, as if it's being whispered right into your ear. He's here to collect your bones and add them to his sack. Dun dun dun. I know. I got a little intense, didn't it? From the twisted beauty of La Ciguanaba to the relentless terror of El Cadejo, to the dreadful to the dreadful whistle of El Silbón. These spirits are a special kind of horrifying. They aren't just monsters that kill you, they're living omens. Their very presence means your story is over. They represent deep seated cultural fears of betrayal, greed, and disrespect, and serve as gruesome warnings passed down through generations. These legends are still very much alive, haunting the lonely roads and quiet nights of Latin America, a stark reminder that some lines should never be crossed, and some figures are better left as stories. So if you're ever walking alone at night and hear a faint whistle, or the padding of unseen paws, or see a beautiful stranger by the water, remember these tales, because by then it might already be too late. If you enjoyed these chilling stories and want to dive into more dark folklore from around the world, especially Latin America, because that's what I do here, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next trip into the unknown. Hey, I got to do a call to action. Why? Because, like I said, I'm breaking these up into 3 different stories. Or 4 different stories, actually. I'm doing 4, so I got to break it up, you know? Take a little break real quick, too, so I can title the next one. Now, the next one is something I've actually talked about before because I actually really like these stories. And this is part of the reason why I started. No, not part. Oh, yeah. Part of the reason why I really started getting into folklore a lot, especially brujeria and the walls, Aztec mythology, things like that, is because a while back I did a story over lechuzas, which are witches that turn into owls. Bad habit. Whatever. Witches that turn into owls. And on TikTok, there was a guy that posted information, and he said no owls are whatever that turn into witches, blah 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 blah. And he specifically stated owls. And I was like, hey, I don't mean to be that guy. I posted on his I commented on his thing. I was like, but look, that's not true. I mean, technically, but not all Nawals are brujas, lechuzas. They're 2 separate entities. They're not the same thing. And the dude wrote something back condescending. And I think he even posted a video about it. But this is when I was first starting off as a streamer and content creator for TikTok. And that kind of spurred me. I was like, wait a minute. I'm just trying to I just did the research over this, and I'm just letting you know that you're mixing 2 different stories together. But this dude has a huge following on TikTok over Hispanic folklore, and also I think on Instagram too. I don't care. But turns out a couple of my fans that I have on there messaged back, and a couple other people too were like, yeah, this dude always does that. He doesn't care if you're right or wrong. It's just whatever he says. And there was also, this is the great part, there was a professor for Aztec mythology that wrote to me and told me yeah, this dude, he just says whatever he wants. And this is not right. And you could say anything right? Oh, the professor, yeah, an actual legitimate professor at UTA, which is down the street from my house. This was right before that. This was before that. No, this was right at that when I moved into my house. So it was real. It's not like a made up story. I know, because just making stuff up. No, but that dude was really making stuff up, and it really bothered me because I don't mind what people say. I don't care if you don't agree with me. But when I have hard proof that I'm not just bullshitting, I just say, okay, cool, I got it wrong. That's it. But there's a lot of people who use the internet and they get stubborn. They're like, oh, they get real brave now, right? And same thing happened with the episode I did over African Americans in the Hispanic community. Because if you do your history, Mexico was very first on a lot of that stuff. And I got into an internet argument with people. I got into it. I had a beef on TikTok with the creator who kept denying African Americans that were Mexican. And I was like, as of like 2012, that started appearing on the census that Mexico gives out. Probably older than that, but that's off the top of my head. I know it started appearing on the census. So whenever you did the census in Mexico, it actually was now a option to put as a from African descent. And I have the best proof of this for everybody. I have the absolute best proof that this is the truest thing in the world. You see me, the brown that I am. Okay. My brothers are a little bit darker, not around my color, right? My uncle, man, this dude looks like he is not Mexican at all. He got the hair and everything, right? I'm gonna pull him up real quick. I was like, what is that noise? Oh my god. Let me pull up my uncle real quick because now I got this going. Wait, which? Oh, okay. I would have never found him because I was on my Spooky Mysteries Facebook page, not my personal one. Now he used to be a lot darker. He's lightened up because he's old. I want to zoom in like on just him. I need a picture of just him. Can't do that? Oh my god, are you serious? Oh, he doesn't have much on his Facebook. Of course he wouldn't because he's old. But this is my uncle. This is my uncle and my cousin. Okay. Come on, focus. Hold on. It won't focus. Whatever. There's another way I could do it, and I'm going to, because now I got this going. Now it's in my head. Now I have to prove it. Hold your horses, everybody. Hold on. Oh, it's because there's like 50 things open right now. Cool. I don't need that open. Don't need that open. Close that. Is any unnecessary things open running? Don't need that open in the background. Okay, there you go. And now you can go separately over here. And we're going to switch over to my personal account and pull up my uncle. Now this is him and my cousin. Where's that picture? I don't want that picture. Oh, there's a lot. Oh no, I was about to say there's a lot more pictures here, but no, there isn't. The picture I wanted to use disappeared. What? Oh, there it is. Actually, no, I'll use this picture. This picture's better. So this picture that I'm gonna post, whatever, is a family picture, right? Or not post, but I'm gonna share. Hmm, there it goes. See, I shared it, right? So this is my aunt by marriage, his wife. This is my aunt. This is my mom, my grandparents, and my uncle. Look at that. There's a huge difference, right? And how do I get out of this? Stop sharing. There it goes. So like I said, like there's proof that this is true. It wasn't just something I made up. But when people try to argue these things that they're like, oh, it's not true, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I have the truth for you. Why won't you just accept it? Anyways, let's get back to the stories. Next one coming up. I'm going to clip that because I'm going to cut that out when I post it. Because y'all don't hear me ranting about me getting into beef with people. I need to be chewing on that when I talk because I will gag. Anyways. Hold on. My lips a little dry. Think about the person you trust most, your neighbor, a good friend, maybe even a family member. Now, what if they had a secret? A secret that only comes out in the dead of night? What if they aren't who you think they are? What if they're a powerful sorcerer, able to shed their own skin and transform into a jaguar, a wolf, or something far more unsettling? This isn't just campfire stories. For many, this is a chilling reality. Behind the legend of the Nawal, Mexico's shape shifting enigma that could be living right next door. Dun dun dun. So, what is it, right? To really get the Nawal, you first have to understand what it is and what it isn't. The word comes from the Nahuatl language of the Aztecs, Nawali, which the Spanish quickly identified as meaning magician or sorcerer. Yeah, so they thought we were magical people. I mean, we are. We're amazing. But a closer meaning might be something like disguise. And this single idea is where the concept splits, creating a figure with a fascinating duality. On the one side, you have the tonal. In many Mesoamerican beliefs, every person is born with a spiritual link to a specific animal, a sort of guardian that acts as their counterpart for life. This tonal is connected to your waking self, your personality, your place in the world. It's a concept built on harmony between people and nature. But then there's the other side of the coin, the path of the Nawal. The Nawal isn't just someone with a spirit animal, they are a sorcerer who has taken power to become that animal. While the Tonal is a spiritual companion, the Nawal is a human who has mastered the art of shape shifting. Now, some legends say that these powers. Now, some legends say these powers can be used for good to protect the community or heal the sick. But many more stories warn of those who use this gift for chaos, theft, and bloodshed. This isn't your typical werewolf curse, it's a conscious choice. A practitioner of powerful magic, sometimes called a brujo, who walks among the community by day and stalks the land as a beast by night. And that's the real terror of the Nawal. The monster isn't some creature hiding out in the woods, it's a person. It could be anyone. Now I know I said brujo and Nawals are different because they are, because they can transform into anything. The chusas are witches that can only transform into owls. Two separate things. Got to make myself clear because I know it sounded like I contradicted myself in my script. Two separate things. Don't make me argue with myself. I will. I'll look insane. Anyways, back to what we're saying. I'm gonna cut that out too. I might leave it. I don't know. No, I'm gonna cut that out. The many faces of the wall. See, like I said, more than one. The legend of the wall isn't one single story. It changes depending on who you are and who you ask. To really grasp the fear it inspires, let's look at the three most terrifying forms this figure can take. Form one, the familiar betrayer. This is probably the most chilling version of the wall because of the Nawal, because it hits so close to home. Countless stories from rural Mexico don't talk about monsters in caves, they talk about neighbors. Picture a small, tight knit village. Suddenly, strange things start happening. Livestock is found viciously killed, not eaten, but torn apart as if for sport. Things go missing from homes, and a wave of fear and suspicion grips the community. Then one night, a man guarding his property wounds a huge, unnaturally aggressive coyote, trying to get at his goats. The beast yelps and vanishes into the night. The next morning, the quiet man who lives down the road is found dead in his bed. No, not dead. Cut. We're gonna cut that part out because I wrote something different. The next morning, the quiet man who lives down the road is found in his bed, suffering from a nasty, unexplained gash on his leg, in the exact same spot the coyote was hit. And then the horrible truth sinks in. The chaos wasn't caused by a wild animal, it was one of their own, a wall, using an animal form to settle scores, steal, and create fear. This is the ultimate betrayer. The idea that the person you say good morning to every day could be the very thing terrorizing you at night is a deep personal kind of horror. It could turn communities on each other, where mere accusation of Nagualism could lead to violence, much like the witch trials of the past. I'm blinking a lot because I'm wearing contacts. I know I'm wearing glasses, but these glasses are blue tint glasses, and I can't stare at my screen as long as I normally do because I stare at my screen at my job too. So it's kind of a lot. It's a strain on my eyes, so these help a lot. And I do wear glasses though, but these are just my fun glasses. I'm gonna clip that too. I'm clipping a lot of stuff, aren't I? Cutting a lot. I'm bring this down to like 10 minutes by the end of it. Form 2, the beast of the wild. While the human element is creepy, you can't ignore the raw fear of the Nawal's animal forms. These aren't just clumsy transformations. The sorcerer is a master of their new body. The most powerful and feared Nawals were said to take the form of America's apex predators, the jaguar and the puma. Ancient Aztec art is full of were jaguars, showing just how deep this belief runs. The god of Tezcatlipoca, a major figure in the Aztec pantheon and a patron of Nagualism, was himself deeply linked to the jaguar. And these weren't just big cats. Stories describe them moving with an unnatural intelligence and a pure malice. A Nawal in jaguar form wouldn't just hunt, it would stalk travelers on lonely roads, its eyes glowing with a sinister green light. They were said to be incredibly strong and cunning, able to vanish into thin air or cover huge distances in the blink of an eye. The transformations weren't just limited to jaguars either. A sorcerer might become a coyote to spread chaos, an owl to spy on their victims, or even a bat to drink the blood of the living, or the sleeping, I mean. The terror is twofold. Any animal could be a person in disguise, and the most powerful sorcerers could choose the perfect form for whatever dark deed they had planned. So this is also why I've said that vampires aren't just um, a European thing. That Bram Stoker did not create the vampire. He created, did the retelling of Dracula. But there's these stories go further back, not just Vlad the Impaler. You have ancient Aztec sorcerers who could turn into bats and drink the blood of people that are sleeping. That's truly one of the first forms of a vampire. I mean, you got to admit, how far back do you want to go? Because we got Aztecs. The vampire are just sorcerers. I think Mexico got the first vampire. I gotta say, I think we might be close to cracking. Where did the story of the vampire originate? Vlad the Impaler, or is it something older? It's something older. It's Aztec mythos. Sorry, I got distracted again. I'm sorry. Let's get back to we're barely on form number 3. Form number 3, the master sorcerer. The most powerful Nawals are said to have abilities far beyond just shape-shifting. They are masters of the unseen world, some of the wildest legends, which sometimes blur the lines with traditions like those of the brujas or witches. See, 2 separate things. They claim they can transform into natural phenomena. The most common of these is the ability to become a ball of fire shrieking across the night. Other tales even suggest they could become a sudden gust of wind or a thick, disorientating fog. These figures are more like elemental forces. Their powers are said to include invisibility, creating a terrifying illusion, and the ability to both cause and cure diseases. In some communities, the powerful Nawals were both feared and respected, sometimes hired as spiritual protectors or even assassins. This elevates the Nawal from a simple monster to something way more complex. You can't fight the wind with the gun. How do you kill a shadow? This suggests a being that has pushed past the limits of humanity, touching a source of dark primal magic. Little call to action here. The Nawal is a legend from Mexico and Central America, but shapeshifter stories are found all over the globe. What are the local legends where you live? Is there a creature that hides in plain sight? A monster that just looks like a normal person? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your local stories. Let's get back to it. The legend of the Nawal isn't just a spooky story. Its roots dig deep into the history and spirituality of Mesoamerica, going back centuries before the Spanish ever arrived, with connection to the Olmec, Maya, and Aztec civilizations. For these cultures, the spiritual and physical worlds weren't separate, they were completely intertwined. The idea of a human soul having an animal companion, a tonal, was a core part of the world of their worldview. The powerful Aztec god Tezcatlipoca, known as the smoking mirror and a god of night and sorcery, was the patron of Nagualism. This tells you that the ability to shapeshift wasn't automatically seen as evil. It was a source of incredible power tied directly to the gods. In fact, rulers and high priests, the most powerful people in society, were often believed to be Nawals. Their ability to transform a sign of their divine authority. Everything changed when the Spanish conquistadors arrived in the 16th century. They brought their own worldview, one shaped by the horrors of the Inquisition. They saw the Nawal not as a powerful shaman, but as a devil worshipping witch. The Nahuatl, word for Nawali, was translated to brujo, a sorcerer who made a pact with the devil. The practice of Nagualism was brutally suppressed and forced into the shadows. This clash of cultures created the version of the Nawal that's most famous today, a terrifying mix of indigenous belief and colonial fear. The spiritual power of the shaman was twisted into the malevolent magic of the witch. The animal transformation, once a sacred bond with nature, became a monstrous disguise for evil. The legend has survived for so long because it carries this deep cultural memory, a story of power, suppression, and the fear of what hides just beneath the surface of our world. When I get writing, I get writing. Conclusion: could they still exist? From the ancient Aztec Empire to the rural villages of modern Mexico, the story of Nawal has terrified generations. It's a legend that has survived conquest and centuries. Still whispered about around late night fires, tales of strange encounters still surface to this day. People report seeing massive, dog like creatures with an unsettling intelligence in their eyes. In states like Chiapas and Oaxaca, the belief in the law is still a living part of their culture, and a reminder that the old ways and the old fears haven't gone away. The Nawal represents one of our most primal fears, the monster that looks just like us. It's that chilling idea that the person you trust could be a predator in disguise. It's a master of deception, a sorcerer walking the line between human and beast, the natural and the supernatural. So the next time you hear a strange scratch at your door late at night, or see the glowing eyes of an animal watching you from the darkness, you have to ask yourself, is it just a wild animal, or is it something more? Is it a neighbor or a stranger, wearing the disguise of a fur and fangs? Is it a Nawal here to bring a little chaos into your world? Thank you for joining me on this trip into the shadows. If you ever had an encounter with something you couldn't explain, or if you know a Nawal story from your own family, please share it in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more explorations into the world's most fascinating legends. Stay safe and maybe keep an eye on who or what is living next door. That's script number 2 down. We got 2 more to go, baby. I know, right? We got a long way to go, right? I'm switching over to like more short form style videos instead of the usual 30-40 minutes. So this one on Spotify is going to be 30, 40 minutes, and it's going to be all these magical creatures. I'm going to cut out the introductions and the call to actions. Whenever I actually upload it, which these videos for Spotify go out on Monday. The individual cut up segments that I'm going to be using are going to YouTube and they'll come out this week. So if you follow me on YouTube, you'll hear it again, cut up, ready to go. If you follow me on Spotify, you'll hear the whole thing on Spotify. Let's move on to the next script because I got 2 more to go. Title 3. Creatures that may be true. So yeah, so that's what I'm doing tonight. I'm not just doing one story. I'm doing multiple things that I'm going to cut up and set up, right? So let's begin. For centuries, we've been told that monsters are just stories, myths whispered in the dark, legends passed down until the truth is lost to time. We filled our world with these tales of impossible beasts, and we sleep soundly, confident that the real world was orderly, understood, and neatly cataloged by science. But what if some of those stories were true? What if hidden in those tales were descriptions of animals so incredible we just dismiss them as fantasy? The history of science isn't just about discovery, it's also about disbelief, about moments when the world presented something so strange that the greatest minds of the age declared it impossible. Today, we're looking at the evidence. We're uncovering 3 legendary creatures from Hispanic folklore that science eventually had to admit were terrifyingly real. So these are real creatures? No. These are up to you. Are they real creatures? Now, some of these are, I believe, to be real, and there's evidence that proves that it is something, that there's physical proof, like the first one, the chupacabra. I know it's not real, but listen, there's reports of it. It could be a new species of mangy dog. Well, not mangy dog, but it could be a new species of canine. Just listen to the stories. Or this one might be a lizard. I don't remember. I wrote these all not too long ago. Our journey begins in the rural landscapes of Latin America with a legend that sparked panic in the 1990s: the chupacabra, or the goat, or the goat sucker. The stories first exploded out of Puerto Rico, then spread to Mexico and the United States. Eyewitnesses described a terrifying creature, sometimes bipedal like a kangaroo with glowing red eyes and spines down its back, other times like a strange hairless dog. Its method was always the same. It attacked livestock, leaving behind drained, bloodless corpses. To scientists and authorities, this was a textbook case of mass hysteria fueled by a new force called the internet. A monster that drinks blood but leaves no tracks, it was a modern folktale, a phantom created to explain the unexplainable. But the evidence kept surfacing. Farmers and locals kept finding strange, dead animals, unlike anything they'd ever seen before. In Texas, a sheriff captured the body of a creature that locals swore was a chupacabra. For years, the legend grew with every new sighting. Finally, science discovered an answer. Researchers who performed necropsies and DNA tests on the alleged chupacabra body found that they weren't monsters at all, but they were coyotes, dogs, and raccoons, suffering from an extreme form of sarcoptic mange. The parasitic infection causes horrific inflammation, making the skin thicken and wrinkle while all the fur falls out. The emaciation of the sick animal would even cause its spine to become prominent, creating the crested or spiked look of the legend. These sick, weakened predators could no longer hunt wild prey, so they attacked easy targets like goats and chickens. The chupacabra was real, not as a supernatural demon, but as a familiar animal transformed by disease into something more monstrous. See? It comes back to me sometimes, but like I said, they found out that a lot of the stories and sightings are just mangy dogs. But there's also a belief that it could be a new strain of dog, or a creature. The next story, the Pechun. From the farmlands of Puerto Rico, our next story takes us to the forests of Chile, home of the Mapuche people. For centuries, they have spoken of the Pechun, a shape shifting creature that most often described as a winged serpent. According to legend, this creature flies through the night, can mesmerize its victims, and feeds by drinking their blood, leaving them weak and emaciated. It was said to be so powerful it could knock down trees, and that its presence alone could cause skin rashes similar to sarna. When outsiders heard these tales, they were easily dismissed as local superstition. A flying, blood drinking snake? It sounded like a mythological beast created to explain away sickness in livestock. For the Western world, this was just another dragon story. But the legend was too specific, too persistent. The tales of blood drained animals and mysterious wasting illnesses in cattle were a genuine problem. The key lay in a creature known by the same name, the local language Bichun, also referred to the common vampire bat. Science had found the creature behind the myth. The vampire bat, Desmodius rotundus, is a small nocturnal mammal that feeds exclusively on the blood of other animals. They are so light and stealthy that they can land on a sleeping cow, use their sharp incisors to make small cuts, and lap up the blood, often without the animal ever waking up. Their saliva contains an anticoagulant to keep the blood flowing. While one bat doesn't take much, a colony can weaken an animal over time. The winged serpent was no snake, but a mammal whose silent flight and blood feeding habits were the terrifying real basis for the legend. So people getting sick and things like that, that's just too many bats. And they carry diseases too, so makes sense, right? Section 3, Section 3. I didn't have to say Section 3. I wrote this down. The Ahuatzotli. The Ahuatzotli. Our final creature didn't come from modern sightings, but from the ancient world of the Aztec Empire. Chroniclers wrote of a horrifying beast that lived in the waters of Lake Texcoco, the Asualdo, the Ahuatzotli. The descriptions from codices were terrifying. They said it was the size of a small dog with smooth, dark skin and a long tail that had a human-like hand at its end. The creature was said to cry like a human baby to lure people to the water's edge, where it would snatch them with its tail hand and drag them down to a watery grave. For centuries, the Huatzlotle was considered pure mythology, a fearsome water demon invented by the Aztecs to represent the dangers of the lake, and as a servant of the rain god Tlaloc. It was a symbol, a story, not a real animal. But as with our other legends, there may be a biological answer. Some researchers now believe the myth could be a dramatic interpretation of a real animal, the water possum, or yapok. The water possum is a semi-aquatic mammal native to this region. It's about the size of a small dog, lives in and around fresh water, and is known for being fierce. Most importantly, it has a long prehensile tail it uses for balance and grasping. Its dexterous paws are very hand-like. While there is no evidence that a water possum can or would drown a human, its unique combination and features perfectly align with the core description of the Huatzlo, an aggressive semi-aquatic mammal with a grasping tail and hand, could easily have been exaggerated by storytellers over generations into a malevolent human-killing monster. The Ahuatzlotle was likely not a demon, but a real animal whose strange biology sparked one of Mesoamerica's most frightening legends. The Chupacabra, the Pechun, and the Ahuatzlotle were all once dismissed as fantasy. They're a powerful reminder that there's a fine line between myth and undiscovered reality. So, what creatures still considered mythical today do you think might be out there, just waiting to be found? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey into the world's hidden truth, be sure to subscribe for more explorations into the unknown. From the ranches of Puerto Rico to the forests of Chile and the ancient lakes of Mexico, the story repeats itself. A creature is seen, a tale is told, and it's dismissed as impossible. But the goat sucker, the winged serpent, and the water monster all forced their way out of folklore into our understanding of the natural world. They teach us that we should listen closely to the whispers from the unexplored corners of our world. Because while many monsters are just stories, some stories are just waiting for the right scientist or the right evidence to prove they were all true all along. Dun dun dun. Look at that. We're almost done. We got one more. Whew. Mark that right here. Bam. Get my script back. I forgot what the little thing looks like. Water possum. What the hell does it look like again? Uh, yeah, I could see. But I'm looking up the Aztec version. I want to see like what the forgot. I see the picture. There it is. Okay, there's that. Yeah. Now I know why I did this one. Now I know why I looked this one up. Let me show y'all what it looks like real quick. So this right here is the yapok. Look at this little thing. That's the yapok, right? Now we'll go here. Now look at this thing. This is more of a representation of what it looks like. Come on. That's how you know these things are real. Okay, that's it. So I just wanted to show y'all that. Let's move on to the next one. The last and final story. This one has nothing to do with what we've been talking about. This is completely separate. This will be its own standalone story that is going to appear on YouTube alone. So I'm marking this section because from here on out, this is completely different, completely separate. Where's my script? It is right here. Bum, bum. Scroll down. And keep going. I'm back too far. Whoa. There you go. Now, I have to say this again, and I say this every single time, that I have no ill will, no ill nothing. I don't talk bad. I don't talk disrespectful or anything about the cartels because I am not a part of their lifestyle. I'm not a part of the world. I do not. Their thing is their thing. My life does not interfere with them. Everything that I say and or do that has to do with them comes directly from trusted sources, the government usually, like court files and things like that. And I don't make things up. Just cut that out there right now. Just putting that out there. I always do this because I want it made known that these are not my opinions. Well, this script is, but like normally whenever I do things, it's just fact. Okay, let's get started. They're the modern day pirates, the emperors of illicit trade, and figures of both immense power and terrifying brutality. From the mountains of Sinaloa to the streets of Miami, the entertainment industry has built a multi-billion-dollar empire on the myth of the narco. We're captivated by shows like Narcos, El Chapo, and even fictional dramas like Breaking Bad and Sicario. They show us a world of charismatic leaders, epic gun battles, and literal mountains of cash. But what's Hollywood's version? But that's Hollywood's version. The reality? It's something else entirely. Less glamorous, more complex, and infinitely more brutal. As y'all have heard in some of my other stories, it is really brutal. The cartels you see in the movies are a fantasy. The truth is far more sophisticated and terrifying. So let's peel back the curtain, separate the fiction from the chilling fact, and deconstruct the biggest myths pop culture has built around these criminal organizations. First up, the man at the top, the kingpin. In shows like Narcos, figures like Pablo Escobar are often portrayed as complex anti-heroes. They're brilliant, charming, and powerful, ruling their empires from lavish estates, surrounded by loyal followers and exotic animals. They're criminal masterminds who outwit governments, and in a strange way, they're presented as almost aspirational rebels who built an empire from scratch. But the real life of a cartel leader isn't defined by glamour, it's defined by crushing, all consuming paranoia. Sure, they might amass incredible wealth, but they can't exactly enjoy it. Every single associate is a potential traitor. Every phone call could be monitored. Every stranger is a potential assassin. Real kingpins live in a constant state of fear, rarely sleeping in the same place twice, and trusting almost no one, sometimes not even their own family. Journalist Julio Schreier, who famously interviewed the elusive leader of the Sinaloa cartel, Ismael El Mayo Zambada, described a man who was basically a ghost in his own territory. In 2010, El Mayo himself admitted, "I'm in a panic about being jailed." That isn't the bravado of a Hollywood villain. It's the raw fear of a man who knew capture was always looming, and that paranoia is completely justified. Betrayal is the rule, not the exception. In a dramatic twist, after 50 years on the run, El Mayo was allegedly betrayed. In July 2024, the culprit, Joaquin Guzman Lopez, the son of his former partner, El Chapo. Reports suggest that Lopez lured the old man onto a plane under false pretense, flying him directly into the hands of U.S. federal agents. It was a stunning act of treachery that perfectly highlighted the true nature of power in the underworld. It's fleeting and loyalty is a commodity that's easily sold. So if the leaders are living in a constant state of fear, surely their enforcers are in a state of nonstop war, right? Movies like Sicario show us these spectacular military style shootouts, convoys tearing through cities, battling police and rivals. Sicarios are or hitmen are depicted as hyper competent soldiers engaging in firefights that level entire city blocks. It's thrilling, it's chaotic, it's making for amazing cinema, but that's what it is. But what does real cartel violence look like? While huge firefights absolutely do happen, like I can't remember what there's one, but there's one that happened recently with El Chapo's sons because they got captured by police, and his men basically went through there and leveled, just walking through town, just leveling everything to get him back. The cops eventually were like, "Take him." They let him go. It was horrible. Like the crime was horrible, but the police kind of did down to themselves on that one. I mean, they knew better, but whatever, right? Anyways, but what does real cartel violence look like? While huge firefights absolutely happen, especially when cartels fight over territory. Most of their violence is far more strategic, personal, and psychologically damaging. Instead of blockbuster shootouts, the reality is often targeted assassinations. These aren't random, they are calculated moves to eliminate rivals, intimidate officials, or silence witnesses. The violence is often carried out up close by young sicarios, and it's all designed to create a climate of absolute terror. And today, the modern cartel has weaponized the media itself. They are propaganda machines. They don't just fight with bullets; they fight to control the narrative. Cartels use TikTok, Telegram, Facebook to recruit new members, intimidate rivals, and project an image of invincibility. They post horrific videos of interrogations and executions, not just for their enemies, but for the public consumption, making sure their message of brutality spreads. They hang banners or narcomantas over highways to publicly accuse rivals or claim responsibility for attacks. In a chilling report from late 2024, it was noted that during Sinaloa's internal war, gunmen would set up checkpoints, scan people's phones, and execute anyone with ties to the opposing faction and their contacts. I saw a video of this and I meant to post it and make my own thing, but it got deleted before I could do it. Like they had a checkpoint. I saw the video. They had a checkpoint, and this lady was bringing in food for somebody because she lived on like the wrong side of town, and she was bringing in food for somebody on their side of town, right? And the guy's holding her phone. Just close all my shit out. I'll see what I got up. I got a lot of stuff up. Just Hold on, I got 12 notifications. I got to delete. I delete all my notifications. That's my camera. I don't. What the? There you go. Oh my God. Do I not know how to use a phone? Here it goes. So the guy's like holding his phone, and this girl's like standing there. This old lady, this not girl, this woman standing there. He has a gun. And he's like, "What were you doing?" And he's holding her phone, like showing, like, "What are you doing?" And his messages on it. And she's like, "I was bringing in food for who? For my cousin, and who else? For," she rattled off like another name, and it was their enemy on that side of on that side. She's like, "I was just bringing them food. She was smuggling food in for the enemy." And she had their names and everything on their phone contact. So she was in contact with family, but they were part of the wrong side and they caught her and she lived on their side. So they took her out. It was chilling. I was like, damn. And if I find it again, if someone reposts it, I will make a video about it and point it out. So sorry. Just that, because that's why I put this in the script, because I had something to go with it, but I can't find it because, crazy things that lead to other crazy things usually get deleted. Anyways, back to what we were talking about. A simple follow on Instagram could be a death sentence. This is the new front line of psychological warfare, where the goal isn't just to win a gunfight, but to terrorize a whole population into submission. Next, we're going to dive into how these organizations manage their billions, and let's just say it's more like a Wall Street firm than a gangster movie. But first, if you're finding this breakdown interesting and want more deep dives that separate fact from fiction, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Message. In pop culture, a cartel's wealth is often a simple visual: rooms filled with mountains of cash, like in Breaking Bad, or characters laundering money through a car wash. It's an easy way to show immense profit, and while cartels do deal with huge amounts of physical cash, the idea that they can just stash it in a warehouse is a massive oversimplification. The reality is that the modern cartel operates less like a street gang and more like a Fortune 500 corporation with a global financial network. Moving and cleaning tens of billions of dollars a year isn't their single greatest challenge. According to the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, the FinCEN, cartels use incredible complex schemes to launder their money. One of the most common is trade-based money laundering. They create shell corporations and move cash through legitimate international trade. For example, they may use drugs to buy tons of consumer goods in one country, ship them to another, and sell them. The profits now look like legitimate business revenue. They use fake invoices and phantom shipments to move money across borders in a way that's almost impossible for authorities to track. They also exploit every corner of the financial system. They use structuring where armies of people deposit dirty cash in amounts just under $10,000 limit that trigger bank reporting. They move into real estate, online gambling, and even cryptocurrency. In one scheme, cartels were even stealing billions of dollars worth of crude oil from Mexico state-owned oil companies and smuggling it into the US and cleaning the profits. These aren't simple thugs, they are sophisticated financial operators who hire expert accountants and lawyers to exploit global economy. So there's a lot, right? Finally, let's talk about the myth of loyalty. Movies often portray cartels as having a strict, almost feudal code of honor. Betrayal is the ultimate sin, and to the boss is absolute. We see sicarios willing to die for their leaders in a structure that seems as rigid as a mafia family. The truth is, cartel structures are anything but stable. They're better understood as fluid networks of alliances held together by fear and mutual interest that can collapse at any moment. Internal conflicts are constant. The arrest or death of a leader almost always sparks a bloody civil war between factions fighting for control. The Sinaloa cartel, for example, is often shown as the single unified entity. In reality, it's a fractured organization with competing factions. The recent war between the faction loyal to El Mayo, Zambada, and Los Chapitos, the sons of El Chapo, has caused hundreds of deaths and thrown the state of Sinaloa into chaos. The internal warfare is fueled by the betrayals at the very top, like the alleged kidnapping of El Mayo by his partner's own son. Within these groups, loyalty is a temporary convenience. Killings are often used to eliminate internal threats and enforce control through pure fear. The idea of a noble unwritten code is a romantic fiction. The reality is a cutthroat world where today's ally is tomorrow's rival, and survival depends on a constant, ruthless, calculating, and power of power and risk. So, what's the takeaway? The entertainment industry's obsession with cartels has created a powerful and compelling genre. These stories are dramatic, engaging, and they tap into our fascination with power and crime. But in the end, they're just that, stories. They often gloss over the sheer brutality and the devastating human costs of the drug trade. They simplify complex financial networks into piles of cash, and they romanticize loyalty in a world that's actually defined by betrayal. While Hollywood shows us the myth, the truth is a much more disturbing and an important story to understand. So movies like Scarface get it close, where the scene where he goes into the bank and he's laundering the money. Yeah, that's what they do, but not out in public like that, like in that movie. But like they go to banks, they launder the money, they have they lawyers, same thing. They have lawyers, they have accountants, they have their own army of a financial department that sit there, and their main job is to figure out how to make this money from illegal goods to like I can go to Walmart and buy me a Coke, like go buy me a couple TVs, and if it raises suspicion, I have receipts to show where I got my money from. You know what I mean? So that's one of the movies that gets it really close is Scarface on that front with that movie, right? But it's a very complex network. And like I said, the brutality of cartels, go back to one of my other episodes that I did. The Allende Massacre. That's a two-part series. That one, I'm probably going to do a part 3. Maybe. I don't know. I'll probably refine it and bring it back down into a 10-minute simpler episode. I don't want to, though. I love that big, long format of it. It's like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours long. But that shows that whole episode, those 2 episodes are the entirety of a town that was under siege for that just got taken out pretty much overnight. And not the entire town. Like my family lives there. You know what I mean? Like I have family down there. It's, but the remnants to this day, you could still walk by houses and see the bullet holes. So as much as, I love watching, the movie Sicario, Narcos, I like watching Narcos, Breaking Bad, all that stuff. I love it, right? I love the whole cartel genre. But I know the truth. I know the reality because I've seen it. I've heard it. I can't say I've lived it, but I've seen it and heard it, right? I've heard the stories. I've heard the things. I've seen the documentaries. I've been, back to that town. I've seen the things myself. So as much as Hollywood makes this grandiose thing of the cartel and simplifies it like, oh, I am now the boss. This is my pile of money. No, it's now I'm the boss. What was that noise? Oh shit, it's an assassin. My pile of money is I got like $1 billion buried over there. I got like 100 billion over there that I can't even touch, that doesn't exist, going through 18 different companies. Like that's how it works. Like it's like they're paranoid people that are like, okay, if that door opens, there might be a guy back there that's going to kill me. You know what I mean? So it's not just like, oh, I'm rich, I'm powerful, no one will touch me. No, it's going to be like, okay, shit, I got money. That guy looks like he wants my money. Does he work for me? He might be loyal if I throw him another million. That's how it works. I'm simplifying it too, but like that's more closer to what actually happens. I get very passionate about the subject because Hollywood makes things grandiose. It romanticizes these things that in reality are horrifying. That like, yeah, it's a great. I love the movie Sicario. That series is awesome. But cartels, nah, man, those are people you don't want to mess with. And I see things on like TikTok and Instagram. People like, oh, they're nothing, blah 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 blah. I'm like, wait a minute. I put in the comments like, oh, you might want to take that back, dude. Because I don't care what part of the United States you live in. These guys are everywhere. Everywhere. And you'll never know it. The Black Hand. Or the Black Hand. It's an episode I did a while back with an assassin. Sicario. Anyways, let's get to the ending properly. What cartel movies or shows do you think gets it most right or most wrong? Let me know in the comments below. And like always, stay spooky, everybody. And that is it. 4 stories down. We got it taken care of. Now I can go and cut this all up and it'll be out throughout the rest of the week. So today's Tuesday. And later today, I have an interview with Irium, a company that specializes in VR, not VR, VTubers. So they're going to help me create my own VTuber persona. And I'm going to be telling these same stories, all my scripts, but as a VTuber, as like a werewolf or something, which is going to be pretty cool. I'm excited for this. So stay tuned for those updates too. So if you see me on here, well, I wouldn't be on here. It'd actually be on Irium's app because they created a platform. It's Irium, IRIAM. And their whole thing is that, like, are you tuning into this VTuber because they're your favorite storyteller? They grasp your attention, they get you, or are you watching them because they're playing one of the best video games ever created? So they're trying to separate that and actually have fans of the VTuber. So this is going to be a great thing. I got my interview tomorrow with them. Hopefully I do great. Actually, no, what's today? No, yeah, Tuesday. Yeah. I got my interview later today with them. I will see y'all guys later. As always, stay spooky, my friends. And that is it. The hell was that? Wait. Got it. It was a hair. It was one of my hairs. I felt something touch me. Later, guys. Stay spooky. Leave. In session for all. Good night.